You walk into a room of 100 people, and the next thing you know, 40 of them commit suicide. There is only one population in which 40% of people attempt or complete suicide, and that is the transgender community. As a member of the LGBT community, I have vested interest in wanting equality for everyone in my community. However, recently I've noticed that the trans community is nowhere near as accepted as those who identify as LGBT. Now, because of this, I've educated myself on the hardships of the trans community, and by the end of this, I hope that you too feel inspired to further educate yourself and actively accept those around you that identify as transgender. Today we'll be discussing the violence, poverty, and mental health problems faced by transgender people as a result of ignorance and lack of acceptance. Being a transgender person in the U.S. puts someone at risk of being the target of extreme prejudice in the form of physical violence. National crime, 250,000 bias-related crime incidents a year, 20 to 25% related to sexual orientation or gender. Let's be specific. To the South, which includes us, Texas, accounts for over half of the transgender murders in the U.S. These statistics suggest that not only is the community being targeted, but they are being targeted in our own backyard, which means it is our duty to stop this cruelty. Not only are there safety needs that are at risk, but also basic needs such as shelter and food. Staying specific to Texas, 17% of transgender respondents in Texas were unemployed and 34% were living in poverty. If that isn't horrifying enough, people who are gender diverse are 2 times more likely to be unemployed. Now, you may think that is their fault for being in poverty, but what about transgender youth? When looking at the population of homeless youth, 20 to 40% of that is made up of the LGBT youth. This means that the impoverished state of this community is not a direct reflection of their lack of drive. In fact, it would appear that this state of being is caused by a society who rejects them and has them set up to fail. Finally, there are psychological repercussions that transgender folk face due to this immense rejection. As stated, 40% of transgender people attempt or complete suicide compared to the national average of 4.6%. This is a dramatic difference, especially when you think about how small a population the transgender community makes up. LGBTQ individuals are almost 3 times more likely than others to experience mental health concerns such as depression and anxiety. Higher rates of substance abuse and suicide than general population. The National Center for Transgender Equality is an organization that aims to advocate for transgender rights as well as educate the general public about transgender discrimination and courses of action. As stated on their website, we set out to accomplish what no one had done, provide a powerful transgender advocacy in Washington, D.C. The NCT is the largest advocacy lobby presence on Capitol Hill currently for transgender rights and is working on gaining support for a recent anti-discrimination bill. Imagine being the target for endless amounts of violence, being afraid to go out as yourself because you may end up dead. Now imagine going to work and getting called into your boss's office just to get let go because you made someone feel uncomfortable just for being you. And finally, imagine spending every day of your life wishing you were dead because everyone has told you that being you is wrong. These are the daily struggles of someone who is transgender. Every day, these are the realities and no one does anything about it. We act as though there is nothing we can do. The truth is, though, we can do something. It may not be as large as marching to Capitol Hill, but we can all do something. By simply going on to the MTCE website and educating yourself, you are helping the community. Once we all let go of our ignorance, we can all enable acceptance to flourish. If you feel inclined to ensure that the anti-discrimination bill passes, leave a donation on that website. I challenge everyone to do something, because every moment that passes where we remain ignorant, another transgender person falls a victim to violence, poverty, and perhaps even depression driven to society. Don't let this community die.